Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today, I will be recommending top 10 Dungeon Hunters Manhwa. So, without any further delay, let's start the list. At number 10 we have, is this hunter for real? Choi Gang-shik loses his family to the supernatural monsters that had appeared out of nowhere. He wished to take revenge for his family, but he had no aptitude for superpowers. However, just when he loses all hope, a mysterious message appears in front of his eyes about a god that has become his viewer. Now, with finally a chance to gain new powers and abilities, Gang-shik begins his life-endangering live-streaming journey. At number 9 we have Heavenly Demon Instructor. After losing his parents due to the portal impact, Park Hyun-soo held the responsibility of protecting his younger sibling. In order to earn a living, he did his best as a powerless supporter while enduring all the bullying and harassment from the strong hunters. But his days of misfortune ends when he suddenly awakens as a hunter and gets a unique skill that allowed him to learn the fighting techniques and skills of the strongest person of Murim, the Heavenly Demon. At number 8 we have Dungeon and Artifact. Stech Atelier was a dungeon explored who was wrongfully killed in a dungeon by the Prince of the Kingdom. But instead of dying, he gets resurrected by a powerful artifact that offers him a deal that would help him get his revenge. Now in order to grow stronger, Stech sets off on a long journey of raiding dungeons, slaying monsters, and making new enemies and friends along the way. At number 7 we have Trapped in a Webnovel as a Good for Nothing. The protagonist Yuseong was an ordinary office worker who gets reincarnated in a fantasy webnovel that he used to read. However, he gets into the body of a side character who gets abandoned by the protagonist of the novel and dies later in the story. Now in order to change his fate, he must find a way to become an awakened and climb the ranks by defeating the monsters and his enemies at the same time. At number 6 we have Starting Today I'm a Player. After the arrival of Gates, Monster brought chaos into the world and a selected few humans awakened supernatural powers in order to stop them. Among them the 12 strongest hunters built a separate place for themselves and turned all the non-awakened into their slaves. Lee Jun-kyung was one of the non-awakened who wished to change this unreasonable world and gets a chance to do so when he gets sent to the past. At number 5 we have Hoarding In Hell. The protagonist Kang Hyun-moo was an orphan whose dreams of becoming a hunter were torn apart. But one day, Hyun-moo gets a strange stone which sends Hyun-moo to a post-apocalyptic world with hell-level difficulty. Now he has to survive for a specific period of time and fight the monsters in order to return to his world. At number 4 we have Player Who Can't Level Up. Kim Gi-ju awakened as player with unique ability when he was 18 years old. His dream of climbing the tower was about to begin, but even after clearing the tutorial multiple times he was unable to increase his level. He repeatedly killed goblins every day hoping for a miracle, but even after 5 years of hard work he was still a level 1 player. But everything changes when he accidentally meets the 5th floor guardian monster. At number 3 we have Seoul Station's Necromancer. The protagonist Kang Woo-jin gets forcibly summoned to a fantasy world filled with monsters and supernatural beings. After becoming the strongest necromancer of that world, he returns to Earth 20 years later, only to find that Earth had been invaded by monsters and a minority of people had awakened supernatural powers in order to fight against them. Now, armed with his 20 years worth of knowledge and experience, he once again walks on the path of becoming the strongest necromancer. At number 2 we have My Daughter is the Final Boss. The protagonist Lee Seo-jun was a useless father who left his daughter to suffer alone while he was busy hunting monsters. At the end, his daughter ends up becoming the final boss monster of Earth who had to be killed in order to save the planet. But this time, Seo-jun decides to uphold his duty as a father and decides to protect his daughter from other hunters. However, he ends up getting killed and regresses back to when he was still an ordinary person. At number 1 we have SSS Class Suicide Hunter. The protagonist Kim Gong-ja always dreamt of becoming the strongest hunter by obtaining a rare S-class skill. His wish was fulfilled and he gets a legendary skill which allowed him to copy other players' skills, but only at the cost of his life. And at the same day of obtaining the skill, he gets killed by the strongest hunter, the Flame Emperor, and copies his broken skill which allowed him to travel back in time after dying.